Attention GovGuam employees and retirees. Open enrollment is extended to October 10th. There's still time to choose Take Care and keep money in your pocket. Lower copays at preferred in-network providers. A payroll deduction as low as $2.04 bi-weekly. To avoid enrollment and payroll processing delays, enroll as soon as possible. Learn more at takecareasia.com/GovGuam 2023 or call 671-647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Good morning, Marianas, and welcome to our studios here in Hagåtña. I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Danielle Baza.
It is just about 7:20 a.m.
7:23.
7:23 a.m. this Thursday, the 6th of October, 2022. And do we have a show for you today? Last night I was able to interview the Iakapos, and later today we will be having in studio the gubernatorial team of Tina Sablan and Sablan-Staffler. When we come back from this commercial break, we'll tell you all about that interview. Stick with us.
Attention GovGuam employees and retirees. Open enrollment is extended to October 10th. There's still time to choose Take Care and keep money in your pocket. Lower copays at preferred in-network providers. A payroll deduction as low as $2.04 bi-weekly. To avoid enrollment and payroll processing delays, enroll as soon as possible. Learn more at takecareasia.com/GovGuam 2023 or call 671-647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
We have to all work together because we do need to deter crime. We do need to decrease crime.
There's a lot of news coming out, rape cases, children. It's so hard to believe.
I'm Felix Camacho, and I approve this message.
Tom Fisher was a Peace Corps volunteer and an educator in the jungles of Central Africa. He went from educating children in impoverished nations to serving our nation in the United States Navy. Tom's legal expertise took him from the military courtroom as a judge advocate general to the courts of Guam, where he has spent 3 decades representing our Manumco and our less fortunate. Tom Fisher knows the law. He'll be a great lawmaker. Let's vote Attorney Thomas Fisher for Senator.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Hafa Day, dear people of Guam. My name is Pete Santos, and I approve this message. I am the only candidate that's running for Attorney General that has the proven track record, the required skills, and the leadership ability to make Guam safe again. Please write me in for Attorney General of Guam this election. Thank you, si Diyos maasi, maraming salamat po, and kiraso.
Right now, we are seeing a rise in energy prices. We feel it at the pump, at the store, or each time we get our CUC bill. This is causing everyone to make difficult choices. Businesses are having to increase prices or reduce hours. Families are having to choose between keeping the aircon on or putting food on the table. Lieutenant Governor Arnold and Mayor Dave's commitment to our Commonwealth is demonstrated through their 30-plus years of public service. Their experiences have allowed them the opportunity to personally interact with our community during their most difficult moments, and for that, they have a better understanding of the needs of our people. The CNMI needs leaders that will promote policies that create jobs, grow paychecks, and improve the economic security of the CNMI businesses and families. We hear you, Marianas. It's time to get this government back in order. This election, please vote Arnold and Dave.
Half a day. I'm Elaine Tamanyao Johnson and I'm voting for Joe S. Sonagasti. Woo-hoo!
Half a day. Guahu si Joe Mesngun. Kugagagaham du Toro para un fanbota si Joe S. Sonagasti para senador.
Half a day. I'm Crystal Augustine. I'm from Malesu and I'm voting for Joe.
Ako si Winston Ilisito. Iboto natin si Joe San Agustin for Senator. Mamuhay!
I'm Senator Joe Shimizu San Augustine, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. Last night, Troy Torres had the opportunity to interview Priscilla and Stanley Iakapos about their resignations. Troy, how did that go?
Well, before we get to that, thank you for the question. Before we get to that, I want to say a warm welcome and hafaday to a sister of the Marianas who has been living off island for some time, making some waves over at New Jersey as she has a very special job in epidemiology over at Rutgers University. Nanette Rosario, who is Johnny Rosario's oldest sister. Oh, I'm sorry, second oldest sister. She's back on Guam. Welcome home, Nanette.
Welcome.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you.
I know.
So thank you for your question. Last night I had the pleasure and the honor of interviewing Priscilla and Stanley Iakapos. First of all, let me just say thank you so much to the Iakapos for trusting me with 50 minutes of your time last night and to interview you about what happened. Mm-hmm. These are very nice people. They are professionals through and through from what I've been able to gather from my conversations with them. And they are not political hacks. They are a couple who have served the Commonwealth government for years. Priscilla as the executive director of the Marianas Visitors Authority during the worst period for tourism, and despite that, tourism making a rebound. And Stanley Iakapos, who has been the head of Military and Veterans Affairs for the Commonwealth government within the office of the governor. And both of them recently resigning. There was, in the media, there was Stanley Iakapos informing people that the reason for his resignation has been, he wasn't getting support from the governor about for veterans. This guy is very passionate about veterans. He is going on his 21st year in military service. He is signing up again for another 6 years. This guy is still serving the country, and he has been, from what I've been able to gather, an absolute asset to the Commonwealth government, but more importantly, to the 1,100 veterans, 11 to 1,200 veterans who call the Commonwealth home. And so, the reason I wanted to interview them was because of Priscilla Iakapos' resignation. Her resignation letter, in the very first line, she says, I cannot in good conscience continue on as a part of the Commonwealth government, the Torres administration, etc., considering what Governor Ralph Torres had done to my husband. And that got me curious. And The very first question was for her, and I asked her, what did you mean by that? And she said, with my husband's resignation on Taurus not supporting him when he received military orders, it really shows how he is not supportive of veterans.
Wow. So that's why he resigned.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. There's, like I said, these people are professionals. It has really never been about them. The straw that broke the camel's back, and I don't know who's advising Governor Ralph Torres, but Mr. Iakapos, Stanley Iakapos, he requested leave because he got military orders. And when you're an employer of someone who's in the Guard or the Reserves, someone who's in the military,
that, right?
You're supposed to honor that. And the fact that the governor said no to this man serving the country, that's a big slap in the face to people who are in the military and those who have been in the military. And so it was the straw that broke the camel's back, but there's so much more to this. Like I said, it was a 50-minute, and it was nearly an hour-long interview. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot from it, not just about, them as professionals, but about the services over at Veterans Affairs.
Yes, what did you learn about the Veterans Office operations?
So, thank you. So, a lot. I learned a lot, all right? I learned that there are two sides of the advocacy that Mr. Iakapos had, and that the new executive director, Marie Salas Igutal, is supposed to have. There's federal and there's local. On the local side, almost no support from the Commonwealth government in terms of funding and resources, even in getting FaceTime with the governor himself. Even though Mr. Iakapos has worked for the governor's office, getting no FaceTime with the governor to be able to bring up issues and talk to the governor about what it is that the veterans need. But on the federal side, in the advocacy for, there's three things, and I learned this last night. There's the Veterans Health Administration, the Veterans Benefits Administration, and the cemetery. And I'll put out a story today that's going to detail these things, but I don't even know where to begin with this conversation about what all these services are. And I'm not going to do justice in just this simple answering of questions. The justice that we'll do to this story, hopefully, is in the written version of it. But you're talking about veterans who need medical care. They need medication for a range of medical issues, mental health issues, especially during the pandemic. Stanley Iakapos told me that there was a time during the pandemic where because clinics had not been vendorized, or because planes weren't coming in bringing in the medications, there were veterans who was on the phone with veterans every single day who would call him up, and because they're not taking their medications anymore, they suffer from PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, et cetera, they were saying things like, I'm gonna kill my children. I'm gonna kill my families. This is the reality for so many of it, and not just in the CNMI, but everywhere. But imagine these people didn't have their medications, and imagine those who had medical conditions who didn't have medications. He found, when he came in as the Veterans Administrator, he found an office that was not being able to deliver on such basic things like getting veterans in Tinian and Rhoda to be able to get to their clinic appointments in Saipan.
Wow.
Because they couldn't afford it. And because the Commonwealth government had not done anything, or had not done enough to connect federal resources with local resources, the guy fixed it. And so now, the cost of airfare from Rhoda and Tinian to Saipan, or from Saipan to Guam, is reimbursable through the federal VA. I mean, just consider that for a moment, that you serve your country all of these years, you go back home, you're not receiving that much in your pension, you suffer from issues that preclude you from being able to hold down a job, to live a normal life. Yes, you have a family to support, and you don't have enough money to fly from Rota or Tinian to Saipan so that you can get medical care, so you can see the doctor. They don't even have enough. They didn't even have enough money to purchase medications, and so a lot of the time, Stanley Iakapos was paying out of his pocket to help people. And every time that he went to see the governor, he said he wasn't able to, so that local resources so that these veterans could avail of local resources. But he hasn't been getting the support. Despite that, though, he has made dramatic improvements, but he says there's more that needs to be done, and he's very hopeful that the new person continues this stuff. This is a lot of stuff. This is institutional knowledge, institutional work that this guy basically built up, and he was getting no support from the governor. And it's not. So there's so much to this story. Recently, the Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs, the U.S. Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs, was in Saipan along with a team of people. And one of the comments from the federal team that was made to the local team was that the Deputy Secretary was so disappointed because it was clear from his conversations with Governor Ralph Torres that he didn't
know what was going on.
He didn't know what was going on.
Ooh.
He didn't know what was going on. He wasn't aware of the issues facing veterans, that it was basically, an embarrassing situation to be in. And for the Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs to make a comment like that, not only the embarrassment is one thing. Most importantly, it's the support that veterans need.
So what kind of support did he receive?
Hardly anything. He received hardly any support. He
supported him. He supported them himself out of his own pocket.
Well,
that's incredible.
So we talked about veterans' health, veterans' benefits. We'll discuss that more in the written story. But the cemetery, that's the third prong of the federal advocacy. So when he came in, the veterans' cemetery, there was no fence, so there were cows grazing everywhere, and cows defecating on the tombstones. And so for months, every single week, he would go to the cemetery because he had no support from the local government. He would be shoveling cow dung off of the tombstones and cleaning the tombstones. Eventually, he was able to get federal resources. And by the way, the government of the Commonwealth never paid for his plane tickets to go to Hawaii and to talk to the people over there about the resources that the people of the CNMI would need in order to get things going. And so when he was on military orders, or when he was on a personal trip to see family on Guam or in Honolulu, he would use his weekends or his after work time, after military orders, etc., to go and meet with people. So that the resource, and so he was successful getting resources for VHA, VBA, and the cemetery, and part of that was getting a fence around the cemetery. And he says now, and I want to visit this place now that he's told me about it. He said this is a, U.S. standard cemetery for veterans now. A dramatic improvement from the time that he came in, and he did this with the support of his veterans. With the support of his family, and without the support of the Commonwealth government, without the support of the Torres administration. And when I was talking to the Iakapos, it wasn't like they were eager to bash the governor. It wasn't like that. It was this. You can tell that this was not a political thing for them. This was really their passion for veterans. Priscilla's passion for her husband. And she even said, oh gosh, I have my notes here. I got some great quotes out of her where she says, I take so much pride as a military spouse, the endless commitment of service members to our country. She says, it's like a cliche, but really it's not. We would not be living a peaceful life without them, is what Priscilla Iakapos said.
Wow,
and she was so passionate about that she just, despite the successes that she's had as the executive director of the Marianas Visitors Authority, she was like, I must support my husband. I must support the veterans. And there's no way in good conscience I could continue on as the MVA executive director.
Is Mr. Iakapo willing to help the new administrator?
That's a great question because of all, like I said, there's just all this institutional knowledge and all of this institutional action. And strategically, Mr. Iakapo, he built that place. He built the plan. And is it going to continue? Is it going to get better? And he says, yes, he is willing, absolutely willing to help Marie Salas Igatol. But he does not believe that Governor Ralph Torres will allow it because during the time that he has served, Governor Ralph Torres didn't have the time of day to see him. Will Castro, the chief of staff, did see him. And Mr. Iakapos says that Will Castro asked, what do you need? And Mr. Iakapos says, we need resources, we need support. And Will Castro immediately went to, well, let's hire more people. And Mr. Iakapos says, that's not what I'm asking. So there were, let me just, this is just a snapshot. He says, we didn't even have a vehicle for veterans. We were even gassing with our own money. So I asked him, I said, and I took this number out of somewhere. I'll explain where. I said, Mr. Iakapos, let's just say you had $18,000, just $18,000 from the Commonwealth government. How far can that go? He said, oh, that can go very far. It can't buy a car, but it would have purchased the gas. But I probably would have used that money to buy medication for the veterans. And it would have been a lot of medication that we would have been able to provide for them. And I said, the reason I'm asking you that, sir, where that $18,000 comes from is that 1 month of power and water that the Commonwealth government paid for Governor Ralph Torres' home.
Wow.
And that's just 1 month of power and water. And that doesn't even include the shopping sprees that the governor and the first lady went on, where they purchased all of those different things at Walmart and where were those? Was it Target
Home
or
Depot?
There was Home Depot on Guam where they got the chainsaw. I mean, it just all of these purchases that were being done at the expense of the Commonwealth taxpayers, yet veterans weren't getting this support.
Yep.
They weren't getting imagine the veterans from Rhoda and Tinian, and the pittance of support that would have gone such a long way to help them. Imagine the people who committed suicide or may have harmed their families, because of the PTSD that they suffer from. And so, another thing that I forgot to bring up is that Mr. Iakapos is not the only person who has been treated, not the only veteran who has been treated in such a capricious and arbitrary way. He said that there is, he knows of an ADA from Department of, I think it was Public Lands, if I'm not mistaken, who was recently terminated. There were veterans who were police officers at Department of Public Safety who have been terminated from their jobs, and that he believes were arbitrary, maybe even political decisions at the hands of the Torres administration. And so in solidarity with them, considering that the straw that broke the camel's back was not approving his military leave for the last time, he had it. And so,
Well, going back to forward thinking, right? Like, what is Priscilla willing to help? What about Priscilla?
Thank you. So, Priscilla Iakapos, she is the executive director of the Marianas Visitors Authority. She is willing to help whoever the next person is. She dated her resignation October 3, effective November 3, so that she has a transition period. So for the next 30 days, she remains the executive director of the Marianas Visitors Authority. And she said she was told, we have some breaking news this morning, she was told that her replacement is going to be Vicky Beneventi, the current Secretary of Labor, who used to be the executive director of the Marianas Visitors Authority. And so hopefully that means a smooth transition, and Mrs. Iakapos is absolutely willing and able to transition this and to ensure that, things go smoothly. And hopefully things are... she's a professional. Vicky Beneventi she's political. She comes from a political family, and she has been one of the political hacks of Governor Ralph Torres. But at the same time, she held this position before. So,
Yeah, hopefully she knows what she's doing. Or at least she knows what she's getting into, right?
Yeah. So last night when they called, I was enjoying my customary glasses of wine. And the good thing I was only on my first half glass of wine. When they called, I saw the 670 and I was like, I think this is the Iakapos. I didn't have my iPad. I didn't have a notebook. I had my Post-it pad. And so these are my copious notes. And from these notes, Kandit viewers, I'll be writing a story today. Yeah. The story will have far more detail, quotes from the Iakapos. Just an extraordinary couple.
Wow,
really.
I love them already.
I love them
that's
too.
That's really pouring your heart into your work.
Oh, they did.
It's like
they
what
did.
You do.
Oh no, not like these guys. And you know what? I've never served the country.
Oh yeah.
Never mind. I was going to say something, but it would have been inappropriate about my past. When we come back from this commercial break, we're going to talk to you about the interview that we're going to have this morning with Congresswoman Tina Sablan and Leila Fleming-Staffler, the Democratic candidates for governor and lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth. Stick with us.
Attention GovGuam employees and retirees. Open enrollment is extended to October 10th. There's still time to choose Take Care and keep money in your pocket. Lower copays at preferred in-network providers. A payroll deduction as low as $2.04 bi-weekly. To avoid enrollment and payroll processing delays, enroll as soon as possible. Learn more at takecareasia.com/GovGuam 2023 or call 671-647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Tom Fisher was a Peace Corps volunteer and an educator in the jungles of Central Africa. He went from educating children in impoverished nations to serving our nation in the United States Navy. Tom's legal expertise took him from the military courtroom as a judge advocate general to the courts of Guam, where he has spent 3 decades representing our Manumco and our less fortunate. Tom Fisher knows the law. He'll be a great lawmaker. Let's vote Attorney Thomas Fisher for Senator.
I'm Tom Fisher, and I approve this message.
Terong ani kami resong mar me reilumar ngang ursamiam lino meta olopai. Imusan tangar malulu ngani kami masal tor ngani kami babu fiti le itti Selena Roberto Babauta bobotolong boye nice Congress nomor nyan balad nge ruo automatic hilo nomor nyan balad nge ruo belan November walu lan maram musik kemutingan au sihi uri ululu nyan ngang melan House of Representative eseb mesah ehibura ehiwana charmalian ye wikita ngai rala mikai katsanganigis meas government. E balsenir me eno precinct 2. E balambonar alingir sakana we e sabior pe ferno balan fanu kafanwas. E wan te e hi lukametaka e keira boba mala pe ferno balan meas government. I Oyas hero balan fanu kafanwas. Bali ye hero. Ato tabuye. Ia musenegi me bato tabuye busiu. Ato lengi Selina Roberto Babauta nomor 2 lanyan balat bisi ato lengi webono boyi as senator lan election sikkim matengene lan November. Hilisso ngani kami resa omar merelumar. Hilisso.
Welcome back. I'm told that message that Uncle Lino, that's as he's called, is a beautiful message in Rafalawash. I'm asking for a translation for it, but apparently he calls Selena Babauta a hero.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would too.
I would too. Now today, we have the honor of having the gubernatorial team of Tina Sablan and Layla Staffler in studio with us. On Saturday, we're going to have the honor of having the gubernatorial team of Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios and Saipan Mayor Dave Apateng with us. I've never in person met the two of them, and so I'm very excited about that. I want to be able to, though we're not that close to November, I want to be able to say Apatangsgiving to the mayor. You know, last November he put that out. He was the Apatangsgiving to everybody.
Like that.
I love it. I love it so much. But I want to share something with you guys. I've shared this before, and for those of you from the CNMI who have been watching us since we started covering news in the CNMI, it was, when did the raids happen? Was it 2018, Eric? Or was it 2019?
I think 2019.
I think it was November 2019, right?
Oh, anniversary.
No, it's in November 2019, the FBI raids happened over at the residence and the office of Governor Ralph Torres, over at IPI and their legal office, and over at the, if I'm not mistaken, at the law offices of the Torres brothers. And prior to that, we had not, here at Kandit, covered anything in the CNMI, any news whatsoever. We just didn't have a foothold there. But the raids happened, and we were able to go into Pacer and see the federal documents. We were able to see that there were the return of warrants, all the people who the federal government had been looking at, all of the reasons for the searches, the laws, the federal statutes that the federal government, that the FBI was accusing these several people of having broken, and we noticed that there was no coverage about these things. And so, we got curious. It's a big deal, the governor of a U.S. territory being raided by the FBI. And so we wanted to snoop around beyond the documents. And at the time, the only person who I knew, and not personally, just because of his notoriety, let me finish my cookie. I've been holding it in my hand. The only person who I knew the name of was Ed Probst. Ed Probst is just such a popular guy. So I got on the phone. I look up the number. I called the office of Representative Ed Probst. And the phone rings, I think, 4 times. And then a woman picks up the phone. I said, hi, I'm looking for...
Oh, they answered their phones there?
Yeah, it's not like on Guam.
I like that.
Yeah. In the CNMI, they answer the phones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. They answer the phones. Now, whether a Republican will actually answer your questions, that's a different story.
Let me check the wife first.
One time I called Robert Hunter. Robert Hunter was the senior advisor to the governor at the time, and he straight up hung up on me. But he answered the phone.
Troy Torres?
He goes, you have the audacity to call me.
Oh, yesterday I was the queen of audacity, bro. Don't even worry about it. So what did
Robert
say?
Hunter, he answered the phone.
Okay.
But then he hung up on me. Anyway, so a woman answers the phone. I think she even answers the phone, Office of Representative Ed Probst or something like that, right? I'm like, hi, I'm trying to reach
Mr. Probst.
Representative Probst or Congressman Probst regarding I want to talk. My name is Troy Torres. I'm with Kandit News. We're a news outlet out of Guam, and she says, I've heard of Kandit News. And I'm like, oh, okay, hi. And I'd like to speak with him about corruption and allegations made against Governor Ralph Torres. And this woman says, I'm sorry, Congressman Probst is not there or is not here right now. Would you like me to take a message for him? I was like, yeah, if he can call me back. But is there anyone else that I can talk to? And I'm looking at the list of representatives. The next person down is Representative Tina Sablan. I'm like, could you transfer me to Representative Tina Sablan? And she says, well, this is she.
Oh.
And without flinching, without a hitch, she agrees to answer the questions right then and there on the record, and she just goes straight for it about corruption, about how disappointed she is, about how this is an embarrassment to the people of the Commonwealth, about how the minority has been fighting about these things, fighting with the Torres administration and trying to bring these issues to light, and how she was glad that the FBI came in and finally did something. And it was just an extraordinary interview. It was on the record. I believe we were live.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken, we were live. And she had were we live, Eric? Yeah. We were live, yeah. She had no qualms about answering all of these questions.
I'm so surprised she answered her own phone.
She didn't just answer her own phone. She answered Ed Probst's phone.
I like that.
So there were no secretaries. And she explained that they had very small staffs, very small budgets. They're not even paid. They're paid a pittance. These people are poor, the ones who work in the House of Representatives who do not take the $5,000 monthly stipend. And she's one of them who doesn't. My point is, the very first person from the CNMI who I met as someone from Kandit in this professional line of work was Tina Sablan. The very first voice I ever heard on the subject of corruption in the CNMI was Tina Sablan. And so I've always been grateful to her because you have to understand if people in the Commonwealth, what is the saying somewhere in the Old Testament, a prophet is never welcome in his own home. So someone trying to do something to expose truth or to get the truth out there is not. It's going to have better luck. It's going to fare better in another land than in your own home. On Guam, senators and especially the governor, they don't take our calls so willingly. But in the CNMI, we can call anybody. We can go to anybody's office, really, except the governor, of course. He doesn't like us. And people answer questions, and among them is Tina Sablan. If we call Arnold Palacios, the lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth, he freely answers our questions. And he takes our phone calls, whether it's on or off the record. I mean, I really love the CNMI more than I love Guam. And truth be told, I love your anthem more than I love Guam's anthem. I can even sing part of it.
Do it.
No. No. So we're going to have the pleasure of having Tina Sablan and Layla Staffler in studio today. Johnny will be here. We're going to interview them. And there are a lot of things that we want to ask. Of course, things about corruption. But I want to ask about their campaign, how that's going. I want to ask about her relationship with Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios, because it really appears like those two like each other.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they're friendly. You don't see their campaigns. You don't even see their people fighting with. I'm sorry. So there are a couple of people who bash in the campaign. I believe they do a disservice to their candidates by doing that, but it's not a lot. And most of the time you see people on the Arnold side and the Tina side getting along, because there's a common theme of change that these two candidates bring, and it's change against the corruption of the current Torres administration. And so, I want to ask about that. I want to ask about some of the issues. I want to definitely ask about this issue of veterans. Definitely ask about medical care in the Commonwealth. The Congresswoman Sablan is the chair of the Health and Welfare Committee. There were things that she brought up during the debate that I want to ask about, things like access to medical care for Commonwealth residents, the disparities in taxation, what she wants to do about the blight on Garapan, that is the IPI, the Best Sunshine Casino, whatever that's called. And I want to ask her why the chicken Kelagwin in the cinema is a lot better than it is on Guam. And hopefully, what I'm hoping is that our dear friend, and I wish I could tell all of Kandit Land the story of Selena Roberto Babalsa. I wish I could, but that will come for another day. But our dear friend Selena Roberto Babalsa also is on Guam, and I'm hoping that she joins in the interview as well. She's running for the Senate, and she has been the lion of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
You hear her roar. Governor Ralph Torres cowers before her, and it's because she has been just the lion.
She's fierce.
Fierce,
I
fierce,
love
and
it.
everyone, when she roars, people pay attention. She's the queen of the jungle.
Yeah. You can get these stories and more on candidnews.com.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now we ask that you join us in turning our attention to the only show of any consequence or significance morning talk show on Guam. That's the Ray Gibson Show on the radio dial at 93.3 FM. If you're like us, you would watch and listen to Cousin Ray on Facebook Live at The Point Guam, or you can listen and watch him on YouTube Live on the Ray Gibson Show. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Danielle Baza.
Good morning, Marianas.
Attention GovGuam employees and retirees. Open enrollment is extended to October 10th. There's still time to choose Take Care and keep money in your pocket. Lower copays at preferred in-network providers. A payroll deduction as low as $2.04 bi-weekly. To avoid enrollment and payroll processing delays, enroll as soon as possible. Learn more at takecareasia.com/GovGuam2023 or call 671-647-3526. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Hi, can I get one bottle of antioxidant, please?